Well, good Tuesday morning, 3 minutes past 10 o'clock, 57 degrees. And even though it's cloudy outside right now, according to the National Weather Service, things should start clearing up and we should get some sunshine rolling in here soon. But in the meantime, time for KRIM's Community Spotlight. And as we do once a month, we have Earlene Tilton with us in the studio talking about secrets of healthy, happy people. And how are you, Earlene?
I'm so glad to be here. It's always good to be here.
Yeah. Well, and today's show too is, I think, really timely. Because, at least in my way of looking at the world, I know one of the challenges that I face every year at this time is the holidays, and not so much that the hubbub, the hurried up and get gifts and all of those kind of things. It's the eat everything under the sun aspect of the holidays that can kind of catch up with you. And that's one of the things that you wanted to talk a little bit about today is the fact that if with some gut-friendly holiday eating, you can actually drop pounds during the holiday.
Actually, most people don't even think of dropping pounds during the holidays.
Yeah. Never even thought it was possible.
Fear that it's going to be just the opposite. And I think a lot of people have some anxiety going into the holidays because of this. They don't want to put on those pounds, but they don't know really how to avoid them. So I just like to start out with saying just don't go on a diet because diets don't work. Don't do it now. Don't do it in January. But let's really look at what we can do to create a gut-friendly holiday eating pattern, not only for this year, but all the years to come.
Sure.
So that we can feel good about where we are.
Well, and I mean, you mentioned that diets don't work. I mean, you can skip meals, you can do all kinds of different things to lose some weight, but then what?
Then what?
Yeah, and then therein lies, I think, a kind of a tough nut to crack.
Right. Well, if you suffer from weight gain, even lack of energy, you have those cravings, you have joint pain, emotional issues, it really stems from what's going on in your gut. And I thought it was interesting. Last week I heard a quote from an MD. This is coming from a well-known MD that, let me read it. It says, "We live in a country where doctors do not provide health care. They provide disease care. The real fact is that they are not in control of your health. You are."
Right.
And so it just really, I think he came from the perspective, I prescribed these things all these years, and now I'm understanding that the more we empower people, this is really how they make changes. So basically that's what we're here to do, because if you look out there, all the ads and the media, they are bombarding messages with us to us constantly all day long. Just eat, drink, and be merry. I
Sure.
call this an eat, drink, and be merry world. But people, just tend to eat whatever's in sight. They don't really understand that what you eat today is your energy and emotions for tomorrow. What you eat today is either going to pack on the pounds or help you drop the pounds. And what you eat today really is going to influence great health and energy or poor health and disease.
Well, it doesn't necessarily, one of the things that I've found really interesting in the months that you've been coming in here is that you have prepared a number of things that when I first looked at them and thought about them, I thought, oh boy, this is not going to taste good. But actually, I was completely wrong. They were really delicious. And I think that's, there's still no reason to forego all of the fun and frivolity of the holidays. Still, you can eat and have fun and all of that, eat, drink, and be merry and all those good things. But you can do it a little bit more smart.
You can do it smart, and this is what people just don't know how to get out of that rat race of what's on sale, what's in the store, what's tradition, what we've always done, into these are foods that actually hate my body. Let's move over to foods that love my body and that I can learn to enjoy. They will taste different, they will do different things, but they will do things that you're happy with.
Right.
So I think it's just a matter of really understanding, and I think first it begins with education, and this is what I try to do on these shows, is to just really help people understand how important this is for yourself today as well as in the future, and that understanding.
And I know one of the things that you talk about a lot is gut health, and that's really kind of key in what we're talking about today, isn't it?
Absolutely, because it is said that if you actually, and this blows me away when I hear this, but what our research says, that the surface area of your gut if we were to lay it out end to end, it would actually cover the surface of a tennis court.
Wow.
Now that is amazing.
Well, you've seen my gut, have you? Anyway.
So basically your gut lining is it's got a very thin wall, and it's got those little microscopic villi that actually kind of the straws, they suck the vitamins and minerals and the good stuff into your bloodstream. And that's what they should do. That's what normally happens. And so that goes in the gut stream. The bad bacteria and the fiber, whatever, continues down your intestines and eventually exports. Well, what's in your food really determines the health of your gut lining, because we have foods like a lot of sugars and carbs are really high in acid, and they can actually sit in your gut if we don't have a lot of fiber, and they can, because of the acid, they can actually create perforations in your gut. Also, our foods that can contain lectins, like our grains and peanuts, are really high in lectins and acids, but also our nightshade family. Now, I love the nightshade family. That's our tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, eggplant. But those are high in lectins also, and it's almost like a little spike that can tear the lining of the walls in your intestines. And when that happens, you can have leakages that go into your bloodstream. Well, it's almost like letting undigested matter, or some people say the poop, going into your bloodstream. Well, that's where we get this term, your body's fighting itself. Well, we have those little soldiers, or our immune and our intestinal soldiers, that are actually fighting that. They say, this is not normal. We can't let that happen. We can't let this go into the bloodstream, because letting those undigested particles go into your bloodstream can create overweight and obesity, but it can also create joint pain and create mental fogginess, create issues in your cells, inflammation all over your body, and it's just not normal. And above and beyond that is the autoimmune conditions. And that's where we hear that term, your body's fighting itself. Well, how can your body fight itself? Well, it's because we've eaten food that's create those perforations, that now it's going into your bloodstream. Your body can't
instead of being excreted. And so it kind of profound, and that really does make you feel crappy.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Who knew, yeah? Terrible. Anyway, sorry, couldn't resist.
That's a real good thought. I like that one.
No, but I mean, it actually just, I mean, all kidding aside, it kind of makes sense that, this is going to have a negative effect on you.
Absolutely.
Bad choice of play on words there, but I mean, it's still interesting. So it's the perforations in the gut lining that's allowing that stuff into the bloodstream.
Right.
Okay.
And so we just have to understand, it's not just about digestive discomfort and that we have digestive issues. It really is a huge problem when it comes to all of our major diseases, as well as weight loss. And we wonder why we can't lose the weight. Well, in order to be able to do that, we've got to first heal the gut. And it's not going to happen with us just piling more of these types of foods and not taking care of our gut.
So it sounds like we kind of need to retrain ourselves a little bit.
We have to retrain. We have to learn how to do that. And most people don't know how to do that. They're kind of doing this, what do we call it, a la carte, oh, I heard this was good. I heard this was good. Oh, we ought to do this. We ought to do this. But there's no real system of understanding what is happening. And so I think first understanding what's happening is important, and then really going in a methodical way to change that gut biome environment. And we can do that.
So again, it sounds like from what you were saying that there are certain things that we eat that can cause these problems with our gut lining, and I kind of glean from what you said that carbs and sugars are kind of at the top of that list, it sounds like.
Right. And like I said, the more we pile in those carbs and sugars, it just really continues to pack on the weight. And the real threat to our gut when it comes to weight gain too is the high carb, high fat. And most people don't even think about that, but something like donuts and those cinnamon rolls, I mean, they're so high in carbs, but they're also high in fats. This is what really packs on the weight gain. And so if you see the holidays coming, It's all the pies, and it's all of these other, even our mashed potatoes slathered in butter,
Right.
it's the high carb, high fat that really packs on those pounds. And so the carbs alone are doing a bad job.
But it's not to say that you can't still enjoy some variations on these same themes. And I know in our second half hour, when we're going to be just on Facebook Live, we'll be coming to you from the kitchen here at KRIM, and you're going to be talking about, I noticed a little bit about the traditional pies and things. There's still ways of doing that.
Yep.
That can keep your gut health in mind. So
We'll do that.
reaffirms my faith in reality.
Yes.
So now, to start with, I mean, if we, and I think myself would be a great example. I mean, if you've been doing a lousy job at choosing what to eat, I mean, do we have to like detox ourselves from that to get our gut back in decent health again?
That is step number one, and I really think that this is an important thing. And so when people say, I need to go on a diet, no, you need to go on a detox. You need to really detox your gut. That's what it's all about. If you just focus on detoxing your gut, not going on a diet, that is where you're going to get miles ahead of dieting. And so basically detoxing your gut is really removing a lot of the stuff that's in there that's keeping those pounds on and is creating that disease. So first of all, we have Candida in the gut. Candida is what has those cravings, and that happens from eating a high carb diet. You've got that Candida that's in your gut, and that's what that causes you to continually to crave and crave and crave and eat and eat and eat. Well, you've got to purge that Candida from your gut. That's first and foremost. Secondly is what I call intestinal sludge. It's just kind of like the sewer pipe, that it just doesn't, I mean, there's food going through, but there's a lot on the linings of the walls, just like a sewer pipe, if you've ever seen the opening of a sewer pipe, or along a river, the moss grows. This is kind of what's going on in our gut. You've got to remove that intestinal sludge because it slows down your digestion, and when your digestion slows down, so do you. And that's why people don't have energy. They're going, how can I get more energy? They're doubling up on energy drinks. You've got to remove that intestinal sludge. But third, you actually need to replace and build a good biome with enzymes, with probiotics, with antioxidants. These are so important to be able to, you need to remove the bad stuff and input the good stuff, because your gut actually has a balance of the bad bacteria and good bacteria. And actually it's about 85% good bacteria that we need and about 15% bad bacteria. That's kind of where it should be, and most people don't even have near that. So it's getting rid of all the stuff in there and replenishing it with good bacteria. That's what is going to make your gut healthy and happy and just feel so much better.
So how do you do that?
So basically, I have a 30-day detox program that is super effective, and I help walk people through this so that you can actually purge your gut of what's going on there and actually replenish it. And unfortunately, what's out there, a lot of the enzymes, a lot of the probiotics and antioxidants, and even your vitamins and minerals, they're ineffective because they're full of synthetics. And when you've got synthetics in there, I mean, all the money people spend on vitamins, it's $1 billion industry. Yet most of your money spent is just going in the sewer along with those vitamins.
Quite literally.
Literally. And so if you're not getting synthetic free supplements, you're not doing any good. And most of what you're going to find out there. So it's really getting picky about what you're using that will really be effective and really remove the toxic sludge and the Candida and replace it with the good bacteria. So
wow, interesting. So when it comes down to our day-to-day living, I mean, I would assume that there's going to be some obviously we got to change some habits, and that's not always an easy thing to do.
Right, it's not.
So I go back to this whole idea of as we move into the holidays. I come from a family of foodies, I've got a brother that's a cordon bleu chef. I've been in the restaurant business myself. My wife and I, we kind of compete in the kitchen. And the holidays and the things that we do in the kitchen are either wonderful or terrible, depending on how you look at it. But so I mean, we just got to change the way we approach a lot of this stuff.
Right, right.
But it can be done.
It can be done. I think first and foremost, we need to concentrate on eating some of those foods that really, once we do the detox, now let's concentrate on eating more foods that have those healthy nutrients that will actually heal your gut. And especially even right now at this time of year, we can do a lot of onions and garlics. I mean, they're in the stuffing and in some of these other foods, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yams are actually really good for healing your gut.
Wow.
So is butter and almonds and apples, green bananas actually, artichokes, asparagus. These are good foods. They actually contain butyrate. And most people are not familiar with butyrate, but actually it just makes your gut happy. It's really a superfood for your gut. And it actually goes in and actually helps strengthen the lining in your gut so that it can actually heal from these perforations. And so the more foods that you eat with butyrate, but like I said, at this time of year we can add more onions and garlic. I like to just sometimes stir fry an onion and just put it on top of whatever I'm eating.
Sure.
It's really good that way, and you can throw in some garlic as well.
Especially Vidalia onions. Anyway, it's interesting though. So I mean, it is just a matter of some different habits, and that's one of the things I found very interesting about your monthly visits here is that, again, being someone who enjoys being in the kitchen and I like to cook, you've brought in some things that were kind of a replacement for something else I was very familiar with, and I remember looking at it thinking, oh, this is not going to be fun, but actually, I mean, you can make all these things, and
you can.
Even with yams, some people really like yams, some people don't, but there's so many different ways that you can prepare them that I'm sure that there's got to be a healthy way to be able to enjoy that too.
And actually I have a recipe today with the yams, and we'll be able to taste that, and asparagus, so this is kind of a fun thing that we have that combination, all really good for healing your gut. But actually the third way is to slash the carbs. And really, when you stop and look at a Thanksgiving dinner, oh my gosh, there's so many carbs there. I mean, not only is it the potatoes and the stuffing and the rolls, but you've got the sweet potatoes and then all the pies. I mean, it seems like it just puts you on carb overload. And
no wonder everyone's sleeping in the afternoon after that meal, right?
It's true. So what I've learned is just to, as much as possible, really cut down on the carbs and really try to remove that and replace them. For instance, the pumpkin pie that you're going to taste is with an almond flour crust. And so it's a protein instead of the carb. And then I use the monk fruit sweetener, which is really no carb, no calorie, no glycemic, which is really good for not just diabetics, but anybody who wants to lower their carb intake and balance your blood sugar a little bit more. Right. So this is a good way to do that. So I can put the almond flour in as a crust instead of the grain flour, and it just changes it from carb to protein. And I do the same thing with my stuffing. I can make a bread that has the almond flour with it, and so basically you're just really reducing your carb and really upping your protein, and it's a good healthy protein and fat. And so these are just two ways that you can do that, and I have a lot of different recipes that I can help our viewers and our listeners with in just understanding what you can do to replace those carbs with healthy fats and proteins.
And I know one of the things we're going to do in the second half hour, we're going to get people back to a lot of their favorite music here in just a few minutes on KRIM. But in our our second half hour, we're also coming to you on Facebook Live today. And in our second half hour, we'll be heading back to the kitchen. You can be showing some of this. But I know that in the past, you've talked before about getting a lot of these grains out of our diet, and they're really, it can be done in a way that you don't really notice that they're missing, but like you said, putting protein in instead of a carb, right. That's got to be a good thing overall for the body, I would think.
It actually really is, and because our nuts are really good and nourishing, And the more we can go to our healthy fats and proteins, and this is why the keto diet, I don't really push the keto diet, but this is why it's gaining a lot of interest. You're removing all those processed carbs or most of the carbs itself, and you're replacing them with proteins and fats that basically are, number one, your fuel, but it helps you lose weight easily, but it also reduces that imbalance of blood sugar levels that is such a problem here in our country and our world. And so it just makes sense.
And it's interesting too. I mean, almond flour rather than like wheat flour or whatever for bread. Is there a noticeable difference in the finished product on that?
Oh, well, of course. It's not a yeast bread like your regular breads are.
Right.
It's more of like a cornbread, or it's your baking powder quick bread.
Right.
And but it's great for things like a stuffing, or just for making biscuits, or sometimes when you just want that bread fix.
Right.
And they're simple to make. People, I think, are so used to just picking it all up at the store. I mean, I find that people aren't even baking pumpkin pies anymore. It's like, oh my gosh, I just grew up, growing the pumpkin and baking the pumpkin and just doing the real foods, and it's not that difficult. Be okay with getting rid of some of these foods that aren't servicing your body and getting back into the kitchen and create some of these things in a healthier way.
Well, and you mentioned too that in the pie crust, instead of sugar, you were using what, stevia, was it? Or monk fruit?
Monk fruit or stevia. I mean, there's a way that you can use it in replacement of the sugar, and it's actually a way better source.
Yeah, and that's really something that the little bit of exposure to that I've had, I really was surprised that it wasn't a noticeable, oh, that tastes really different sort of thing. It was like, that just tastes normal.
Right.
Which is, I think, kind of what I would want to shoot for.
Yes, and most people don't realize that this option is available and how much better it is for your body, how much better it helps you drop the pounds, and you feel better overall. It's all about, again, going back to this gut and healing your gut, because that's where all of our problems start, is right in the gut. And if we can learn how to, remove all the stuff that's in your gut and replenish it and start eating foods that help strengthen that gut lining, and we can even do this in the holidays. It's good news to me.
Yeah, it's amazing news. Now, I know we'll be reiterating this at the end of the next half hour, but for those that are only joining us on the radio today, a lot of the recipes that we talk about here, you make available to people listening. And if people want to find out more, let's do two quick things here for our radio listeners. First, quick rundown of the different items that we're going to be talking about in the kitchen today, and then also if someone's interested, how they can get the recipes from you.
Okay, first of all, items in the kitchen, we're going to do a paleo stuffing. Paleo means grain-free, and it's completely without grains, so I made the bread first and then I made the stuffing, so you can taste it and see if you like it. And actually, I made this for my family for Thanksgiving last year, and nobody even said a word. They didn't even know the difference.
Wow. They
had no idea. In fact, it kind of makes it look a little bit more like white bread, and I've always done cornbread just to make it a little bit healthier. But the next thing, I'm doing a sweet potato stir fry, or yams and asparagus. I call them sweet potatoes, but and that's kind of yummy. And I like this kind of as a after Thanksgiving, if you have leftover sweet potatoes and you have leftover turkey, so you can kind of make this as a stir fry, healthy stir fry.
Ooh.
And then a pumpkin pie with the almond crust, no sugar, no dairy. It's all just good stuff.
Well, and if people want to get a hold of some of these recipes, how can they do that? Okay,
my email is ask@, and then my name, Erlene Tilton, ERLEENTILTON.com. And that can be for me helping you with doing this detox, as well as you getting the recipes. So just let me know so that we can get you started.
Sounds like a
with
plan.
A healthy holiday.
Now, and again, if you weren't able to write that down, if you check us out on Facebook Live, of course, that our broadcast today will be there in perpetuity after this morning as well. So you can always look it up there, get those addresses and everything. But we're going to take a fast break on Facebook. and be coming to you in our next half hour from back in the KRIM kitchen here, and show you a little bit about some of this stuff that we've been talking about for the last half hour. Here on the radio, though, we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music, have some tunes coming up from the Dave Matthews Band, Chicago, David Bowie, and a whole bunch more. Right now, though, a quick look at Rim Country weather.
Forecast, based in surrounding areas, and nowcast meteorologist Scott Roberts. Breezy southwest winds at times today. They'll shift northerly to about 9 degrees.
And welcome back. Coming to you from the KRIM kitchen now on the other side of the building. And this is my favorite part of the show every month, where we not only show you, some of what we've been talking about as far as recipes, but also, even more importantly, when I get to eat stuff. And this looks very Thanksgiving-esque.
Yes.
Thanksgiving-esque,
Yes.
if there is such a word.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here.
So first of all, I said the sweet potato stir fry. This is great for like kind of after Thanksgiving, because you've got your sweet potatoes, if you usually do bake them just whole or whatever. And then it has some turkey in it, as well as some asparagus, onions, and garlic, like we want to have, full of butyrate, as well as the yams and the asparagus. So all of these are full of butyrate, which is really good and healthy for the gut. So I have my essential oils. I love to add those. They're great flavoring. They're really good for you as well. Rosemary, copaiba, and lime. So I don't know.
Copaiba.
So copaiba or copaiba is actually a good oil. I think we've talked about it before. It's good for your endocannabinoid system, so good for digestion.
I didn't even know I had an endocannabinoid system.
But also good for pain and inflammation. And I think that there's always a need for that. Whatever age you are, is that we can address pain and inflammation. And so, is that good?
This is very good.
Good.
And I have to once again come clean and say, you've got me addicted to the essential oils, and I've got more that I need to order, but it's amazing in cooking the flavors that you can bring out, and all the health benefits that come along with it.
Yeah, well the reason I like to is, like I said, rosemary is good for brain. Lime or any of your citrus essential oils are really good for cleansing and detox, as well as great antioxidants. And so if there's ever a time that I can add our essential oils to our foods, I mean, look at all the immune boosting and digestive, as well as antioxidant benefits that you have with just eating that, as well as the butyrate that really helps to heal your gut.
Tastes good and good for you.
Good.
I like it.
Good. Well, secondly, let me get you some of the Paleo bread stuffing. So like I said, this is completely free of grains, and
This is almond flour?
it is almond flour. And so again, we have our essential oils. I like to add the coriander, the black pepper, and the thyme. And I do have a couple of seasonings in there as well. The onions and garlic again, and your celery and cilantro. So So what do you think?
I love it. This is great.
I mean, you'd never know that it's grain-free.
No.
A lot of people, I mean, like I said, my family last year didn't even know that it was grain-free. They didn't know it was any different than what I had done before. So, I mean, they knew it was different, but they still liked
That's
it.
really tasty stuffing.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. And none of the carbs.
None of the carbs. And like I said, you're replacing those carbs with good proteins. And that's what I like about that, is being able to do that. You can do it more simply than you think. Thyme is really good for boosting immunity, and we need all the immune boosting that we can have, especially during this time of year. Black pepper is really good for digestion as well as immunity, and so is coriander. They're all really good for digestion as well as immune boosting, and another good reason to add them to our foods during this time of year, so we get good flavor as well as good immune boosting properties and digestive properties.
Now with the bread made with almond flour, are you just making it as stereotypical loaf of bread?
A loaf of bread, basically. Right. Yeah, I usually line it with, it's easier to put the parchment paper in.
Right.
And just put it in there, just pour the batter in, and it takes about 40 minutes, I think, to bake, but it actually comes out really good and it's really tasty. So
that's very tasty.
We've enjoyed that. So last but not least is our pumpkin pie, and actually this one I went ahead and saved the time from being able to dish it out. Is, like I said, it's got the almond flour crust and no sugar, no dairy. It's got the monk fruit sweetening, that's monk fruit and stevia together. And then it's got these wonderful essential oils that we definitely want during this time of year. The cinnamon bark, the ginger, and the clove are all powerhouses for immune boosting. So you know that we eat them in everything at this time of year. I mean, in pumpkin pies, pumpkin bread, pumpkin rolls, pumpkin cookies, whatever there is. We add these, and even in our drinks, we're adding like the wassail, you know, it's got the cinnamon, the the clove, and it's because we need more immune boosting at this time of year. So not only are these great flavors, but they actually act for building our immune boosting properties, which is so important at this time of the year.
The first thing I did was take just a little piece of the crust, just to kind of flavor-wise analyze that. And it's delicious. I mean, and I can't really, the consistency and everything is nice. The stuffing too, or not the stuffing, but the filling of the pie. Now, run this through that. Regular pumpkin pie filling?
No, I don't ever use that. I do like to cook fresh pumpkin, the sugar baby pumpkins. But if I'm only doing one pie, like today, I'll just get a can of organic pumpkin. And so 1 can of that, 1 can of coconut milk, and you don't want to use the light, you want the creamy, and then it has the monk fruit and a couple of eggs and basically your spices, and that's about all it has in it. So
it's delicious.
Spices and essential oils. So like I said, you don't have to give up some of your favorites.
Well, and you still have the presentation factor is still all there. It looks good. But even more importantly, it tastes good. And this whole, replacing grain flour with almond flour and other things like that, that's something I know nothing about. And as such, I would be a little skeptical. Man, don't mess with my pumpkin pie. But this is really very good.
I think many times we can be a little bit skeptical with making these changes, because the first time I made cookies without grains, I'm going, is this possible? And basically it's just almond butter and sweet potato and a little bit of the monk fruit, and basically you've got this wonderful cookie, and I'm going, how is this possible? I've been baking for 50 years, 40 years. How is this possible to do this without grains? I mean, we just thought that was a necessary ingredient, and when you find out it really isn't, and you can do things without it, it still blows my mind. So there's so many things that you can do with the almond flour and some of these other ingredients, almond butter and other ingredients that really can take the place of our grains, that we just have to tiptoe into this and start doing it.
Well, there's nothing here that that I would feel was taking away from the traditional Thanksgiving meal. If anything, I think it augments it in a very positive way. The flavors and everything, and I can definitely taste some of the essential oils coming out in some of these, but a perfect mix of flavors. But to be able to eat all these things that admittedly are a bit of a guilty pleasure, and not have it be something that would affect gut health is pretty amazing.
Well, the fact is, it does affect our gut health positively.
In a positive way, yeah. There you go.
And that's what we're trying to do, is to help our listeners understand that you can improve your gut at any time of the year, especially during the holidays. You can even drop pounds during the holidays by just making a few switches
Right.
to more gut-friendly foods and using your proteins in place of those common carbs, and making your meals in a much better way. You do have to kind of get in the kitchen and relearn and do some of these things, but you can create some really healthy gut-friendly foods.
Well, you're talking about gut-friendly, healthy cookies. I mean, I just never seen like those words would all be in the same sentence. I mean, so you really can pretty much take care of all of the traditional holiday stuff.
A lot of them, yes, and we'll do that next month.
I mean, probably no real healthy candy canes or anything like that.
No, not really.
And I'm still
I'm
still a little depressed about your information about donuts, but I'll get over it. That's definitely a guilty pleasure, but still, in all seriousness, this is really remarkable. I think I'm surprised by two things. First of all, with the yams or sweet potatoes here and the mix of things that you have in there. Never seen quite that mix together before, but it really works. It's got really good flavor, a lot of different layers of flavor. And then the thing I was probably most skeptical about was the stuffing. How could that possibly work? But I don't taste anything there that's like, wow, this is different. It's all very good.
Like I said, my family didn't notice the difference, and I find it to be very pleasing. I've tried to stay away from the grains for a number of years, and for the most part, and it's so nice to be able to still, like you say, enjoy some great holiday foods. You can still have great holiday foods, just in a healthier way that are more gut friendly and help you actually drop those pounds instead of pack
Right.
them on. So
There's
a way to do it.
Now, and again, you're making these recipes available for people that are interested, and we'll tell you how to get that in just a moment. But I think, to me, one of the key takeaways from all of these months that we've been doing this together is the essential oils and what can be done in cooking. I had ordered some myself, and we experimented at home with them, and I have to say I'm pretty much blown away in the quality of the flavor. And there's different qualities of essential oils.
Absolutely.
There's some essential oils you wouldn't want to put in cooking at all.
Absolutely, and please don't. If it says do not ingest, don't, because that means it's never been tested. You have no idea what's in it, and the flavor can be really bad. And I've seen that happen. I've had people use essential oils that should never be used internally in foods, and so there could be chemicals and contaminants in there. So you only want to get essential oils that really have that supplement fact label on them, and that are good for internal use. And so the kind that I use is doTERRA's, and they are really good for that. So you can get those at Back to Basics, or you can contact me directly, ask@erleentilton.com. That's ask@ERLEENTILTON.com. And I can help you with the recipes, I can help you with a gut detox, and I can help you get those essential oils so that you too can help really, change that gut biome during the holidays. But I also wanted to mention, we're having a luncheon at noon at Gaia's. They're at Rejuvenate,
Right.
which is just south of Five Guys on the 87. So if you're interested, please come, because then you can actually taste these foods for yourself and see what they do.
And if you don't, you're missing out. And with the essential oils, even think it was the wild orange or something like that, a drop or maybe two in a large glass of ice water is amazing. And anyway, it tastes great, but it's also a very healthy, rather than maybe picking up a can of soda pop or something else. I mean, I find it delicious, and it's actually good for you.
Yep, actually those sodas just, they're so bad for you, but yet water with the lemon essential oil, it's yummy flavor, and it really helps to detox. It's good for your gut, good for gut cleansing, and it's also full of antioxidants. It stimulates good metabolism, so there's all good positives with that. So
Cool.
adding our essential oils to water is really good, the citrus ones especially. So.
Well, all ready for Thanksgiving now. I can almost not wait for what comes up next month. Anyway, again, we'll have links along with this where you can hook up with Herlene and maybe ask questions. Highly recommend the idea of perhaps ordering some of these essential oils. That they're amazing to use in the kitchen. And we look forward to what we have coming up next month.
Yes, and next month we're going to do those cookies.
Ooh,
we're going to really look at some gut-friendly holiday things that you can actually make as gifts. And I think that people would look forward to that as well.
And the big takeaway is it doesn't have to be, stuff that, has the flavor of old cardboard or anything like that. This is really delicious food. It's actually really good for you. So what a great combination. Thanks again.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll be with you next month.